it.
Here looks like if I had it on mute. So let me start this once again. Welcome to the 30. I am your host, Patrick, and I want to thank you for being here. A lot is going on today, folks. I think this is what, episode 247. We're moving up to episode 250. This is our big one in about 3 weeks where we will get to that point. And next week, I'm going to announce some things that are going to be taking place for episode 250. But in the meantime, thank you for joining me on today's episode of The 30. Do me a huge favor. If you're watching us from YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to The 30's channel. Give us a like of this episode. If you're watching us from LinkedIn, also give us a like, give us a comment. Tell us, give us whatever you want to hear or see in the coming months. We would like to bring things that are prevalent to you, our viewers and listeners. The goal of the 30 is to provide relevant information that will help you in your personal, professional, and spiritual lives. That is why we are here. And that's why we continue to do this for you, our viewers and listeners. So make sure that you like this episode. Drop us some comments and let us know if you have any questions or what you would like to see in the coming weeks and months. So as we begin, I have a question for you. Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, that was great. Everything went wonderful. That was a great conversation, only to find out later that the person or persons that you're talking to, in this instance, if you're the leader and you are speaking to your team, only to find out that your team didn't get it. They didn't understand. There was lack of clarity on your part. You thought it was that everything went well. You thought that they should understand, but later on you found out that it was simply an assumption on your part. So assumptions are what we call silent saboteurs, right? We think that we know or assume that the person or persons or teams that we're speaking with or speaking to, they understand. We think that we're clear, but in actuality, we've left the room with completely confused, frustrated, and of course, no action taken. So we're going to take a look today, and this episode is called When Assumptions Lead, Why Clarity is Every Leader's Superpower. So that's what we are going to be talking about on today's episode. So let's begin in terms of why this episode. And I'm going to give you a background. I'm going to put it in context for you, give you some context. So last week, so our team for this, well, we started this a couple weeks ago, but we're currently facilitating to a group of leaders in our cohort. So we have a cohort of leaders. We're teaching them. We're guiding them. We're putting them through a leadership development cohort or class. So in the process of doing that, last week I give an exercise. I give the class, the cohort, an assignment. So I thought that they understood. I even checked in. to ensure that what I said was clear and they understood. Well, this week, when I checked in on the exercise or the activity, come to find out what I thought was clear, I assumed that it was clear, but in actuality, it was not clear. It was confusing to some of the leaders in the class. So, what I thought in terms of not only the exercise, but the verbiage I used and the terms that I use, that it was understood by all the leaders in the class. So I left feeling good about what was said. I left feeling good about the exercise. I left feeling good that everyone understood because I checked in and no one said that they didn't understand. But this week I found out that there were some of the leaders that didn't understand the verbiage that was used or the terms that was discussed. So in that moment, it hit me. Are there other leaders that have gone through or experienced what I did? And I'm sure that we all have to some degree, whether you are a leader, whether you are a part of a team, whether you're a business owner, wherever you are. Sometimes we assume that what we say was received and understood. See, sometimes as leaders, we assume understanding far too often. We assume that what was discussed was understood. And this happens far too often. I know it happens to me quite often because in this instance, I thought that the terms used, which were common terms, I assumed that everyone knew them. I assumed that every leader knew them. But in actuality, not everyone did. So the first thing that I had to do was to seek clarity in terms of what didn't you understand? Was it how I said it? Was it the terminology being used or the verbiage being used? And it was the terminology, the verbiage being used that was not clear to the individuals and to the leaders. So needless to say, I apologized to the class. I apologized to the person, and I took away a learning. And one of the key learnings here was do not assume. See, as leaders, again, we assume that our teams know everything that we are giving them, everything that we say. We assume that they know what success looks like. We assume that their silence means agreement. Well, not so. Not so. So what I want to do here is really look at how can we avoid or diminish confusion and assuming things. Because when we assume, it creates a confusion, and confusion breeds inaction or disengagement, or even sometimes resentment. And I am so excited. I am so happy that the individuals brought it to my attention, because they could have walked away in the coming weeks resenting me or not completing the exercise. So I am thankful that they brought it to my attention. So here's a keynote. When you assume, you hand over your leadership power to uncertainty. I'll say that again. When you assume, you hand over your leadership power to uncertainty. Meaning that the individuals, the team that you are speaking with, they are not certain with what you intended. So let's look at what clarity actually looks like. So in order for us to avoid assumption and avoid uncertainty, we need to be clear. we need to have a degree of clarity. Again, for this episode, we will focus on when assumptions lead, why clarity is every leader's superpower. So clarity should be your superpower. So what does clarity look like? Let's break that down. Let's break it down. Clarity is not just about speaking louder. It's not about speaking faster. It's not about speaking with energy. It's not about repeating yourself. It's about communication with intention. I'll say that again. Clarity is not about being eloquent in your speech. It's not about speaking louder. It's not about speaking and repeating oneself. It's not about summarizing. It's about communication with intention and with empathy. I had a leader who I respect a great deal, who was instrumental in my career. And one of the things that she said to me, especially when teaching, training, or facilitating, she said, always look at the lowest common denominator. Speak at the lowest common denominator so that they understand. Don't assume anything. And I took that. But for this instance, I didn't. I was wrong. So here's how clarity in leadership looks like. Number one, in order to be clear, we have to put it in context. Why does this matter? So I started off with putting this situation or this episode in context. I give you an example. I wanted you to understand where I was coming from. So you want to put it in context. Why does clarity as a leader matter? So you want to put it in context. The other one is, what is the expectation? What does success look like? So you want to speak to that. Give an example. What does success look like? And number 3 here is ownership. Who's responsible for what? Be clear. You don't want to leave the room if you are speaking with leaders, especially if you're assign a task. You don't want to leave the room with assuming that everyone understands who's doing what. So you want to give ownership. Who is responsible for what? And be clear in that instance. The other thing, the last one, is confirmation. Did they actually hear what I said? Not only did they hear it, but did they understand what I said? Did they understand the mission? Did they understand the exercise? And encourage others who may be silent to weigh in. As I told you, silence does not mean agreement. So you want to be active, proactive in making sure or ensuring that everyone understands. So if you don't build in clarity, the team will fill in the gaps with assumptions, and the results won't match your vision. I like to say, in the absence of information, the mind fills in the blank. So in the absence of you giving the information and be clear with the information, the team's minds, the way they're thinking, fills in the blank. It may not be what you are looking for or your intent. See, the best leaders, if you study leaders, the best leaders are the ones who are consistently and constantly checking for clarity. They're asking things like, what did you hear me say? Could you summarize what I just said? Could someone summarize what was just discussed? What is your understanding of what's next? What's your understanding of our conversation? Is the meaning of the term clear? Does everyone understand the meaning of the term we just discussed? What support do you need to move forward? I like to use, is it clear? Is there clarity? Does everyone understand? So you need to check in consistently, constantly to ensure clarity. Is it clear? Help me to understand if there's any misunderstanding, if there's any if I wasn't clear. If the terminology that I use, the verbiage that I use, is that clear? And if it's not, please let me know now before we move forward. Are the tasks given, are they understood by everyone? These are the things that you need to, I would suggest that you do, so that you bring clarity not only to those that you are partnering with or supporting, those that you're working with, but also to yourself. So let's talk about ways to lead with more clarity. Let's break that down. What does that look like? I'm going to give you 3 practical ways to lead with clarity every day. Number 1, when you are speaking, slow down. Sometimes some of us speak so fast that it goes over the others' heads. Slow down a little. Don't assume that busy equates to effective. So slow down to communicate better. Use the right words to say. Take an extra couple of minutes to clarify the outcomes. Did everyone understand our mission? Can someone summarize the expectations that we just discussed? What are the expectations? Again, this is to ensure clarity by all parties and clarity by yourself, clarity from yourself. What are the next steps? Can someone walk me through what are the next steps? And I would suggest that you don't let the same person answer. If there are multiple individuals in the room, allow others, or call another, not call their names, but solicit the opportunity for others to speak and weigh in. So that's number 1. Number 2, check for understanding, not just agreement. Do you agree? Yes or no? That's a simply read. Do you agree? The person can say yes, or the person can say no. To me, that's not sufficient enough. Because if the person says no, where do you go from there? You need now to really go to the next step. If the person say yes, is that an honest yes? Yes, or is it just an agreeing yes to get you to move to the next step, or the next discussion, or the next task? You need to really dig in and check for understanding, not just agreement. Sometimes individuals would like for you to move forward quicker, so they're going to agree. But that's not necessarily that they understand. So what is your next move, or how do you see this playing out? Drill down some more. Check for understanding. These 2 questions will actually help you in ensuring that what you said is understood. What's your next move? How do you see this playing out? So those 2 specific questions can help you. The third practical way to lead with clarity every day is this: turn feedback into fuel. Ask your team, or if you're teaching, ask your class what's unclear and what's inconsistent. See, feedback is a gift, folks. We all should ask about more feedback, right? We all should solicit feedback from others if we're to go to the next level. Invite feedback. Some of us are afraid to ask for feedback because we don't know what's coming. But invite feedback. Turn feedback into fuel. So ask, can you provide feedback? Am I going down the right road? Is it clear to you? How can we move to the next level? What do you think? Am I clear when I say these things? Do you fully understand, or do I need to do something else? Help me to get to the next step, next level. Provide your feedback to me. So the feedback that was given to me was that the terms were not clear to the individuals that I give, and also I didn't expand on them to ensure that they understood what was good. I assume. So the feedback that was given was maybe give practical evidence or practical examples so that everyone understand. So I took that as an opportunity. And guess what? I am going to implement that next time around. Give practical examples so that people understand, so that I know there's clarity. See, clarity is often waiting on the other side of honest dialogue. So I need to engage in dialogue, invite feedback, help me to understand, help me to improve. So those are three practical ways to lead with clarity on a daily basis. So we're talking about when assumption lead, why clarity is every leader's superpower. So as we move forward and as we conclude, we need to be honest with ourselves. How are we showing up when it comes to clarity? What are we doing to ensure that what we say is what was understood? So to keep it real, no leader, I haven't come across a leader yet that I've engaged with, that I've trained or coached or spoken to. No leader intends to be unclear. We don't go out and say, I'm just going to mess people up. I'm going to mess my team up. I'm going to just be unclear. I'm not going to provide insight. I'm not going to provide examples. I'm just going to be unclear today. No leader intends to do that. But you should know that intention without clarity still leads to confusion. So it's not your intent to be unclear, but intent without clarity still leads to confusion. So if you want to elevate the way you do things, if you want to elevate, enhance your clarity as a leader, here's what I suggest that you do. Ask yourself every day, in addition to the three practical ways to lead with clarity, I want you to check in with as you go through your reflection on a daily basis. Ask yourself, where have I assumed understanding? And this is an exercise that you can go through even after this show, after this broadcast, whether you're watching it live or in replay. Ask yourself, where have I assumed understanding? Where have I assumed that the team or the individuals that I'm speaking with or that I'm leading or that I'm teaching or coaching, where have I assumed understanding? What conversation do I need to revisit and clarify? See, I needed to revisit this after it was brought to my attention. I needed to check in with the entire class to see if that was the same result. See, a couple of individuals came to me and told me about it. I need to check in to see if it was the entire class. Thankful it wasn't. Thankfully, it wasn't. But I took personal responsibility. And now I am going to be even more cognizant of how I say things and what I say and provide examples. Because I may know some terms because of my years of experience. Others may not have the experience that I have from a leadership perspective, both leading as well as training and coaching and developing leaders. Others may not have that. So the words that I use, I assume that everyone knew. So I needed to revisit that and clarify what I said. The other thing that you should ask yourself is, what standard am I holding in my mind that I haven't communicated clearly? And that was me. What standard am I holding in my mind that I haven't communicated clearly to the team? What words have I used that I assume that was known to others and I wasn't clear? So, because at the end of the day, folks, clarity isn't a nice to have, it's your leadership superpower. So as we end, we spoke about why clarity is every leader's superpower. So remember, it's not just about intention, because intention without clarity leads to confusion. We need to be real with ourselves and check in with others and invite feedback from others. So folks, that's about it for this episode. I want to thank you for being here. We are kicking off our Impact Leaders Summer Training Program. And I am going to send our group, our team, those that are part of our community. If you have not joined our community, make sure you do so. I'm going to put it how you can join that, because we're going to be sending this out to our community as early as tomorrow. So join our community. And we're going to be also, if you're part of the community, we're going to offer you a special discount to be part of our Impact Leaders Summer Training Program. We're going to kick that off. It will start on June the 3rd and end on July 1st, 5 weeks. Our Impact Leaders Summer Leadership Program. I'm excited about it. I look forward. I invite you to join me and to be part of this exciting program. So you will hear more about that. But if you are a part of our community, you will certainly be receiving a special discount because you are part of a growing and exciting community. So again, if you want to join a community, there it is. I will be dropping some information as to how you can register to be part of this program. 5 weeks. This is our Impact Leaders Summer Leadership Program, beginning on June 1st and going through till June 3rd, and going through till July 1st. Folks, I want to thank you certainly for being here. Remember, until next time, stay focused, stay faithful. May God bless you and your family, and lead well. Thank you once again. See you next time around, next week, as we continue to build not just good leaders, not just great leaders, but exceptional leaders. Be blessed, folks. Thank you.